16. All scripture is breathed out by God and profitable for teaching, for reproof, for correction, and for training in righteousness. Amen.
Amen. Thank you. Approve agenda. Got some changes there.
Missed 5.
Oh, yeah.
Conflict of interest.
Now approve.
I'd like to make a motion that we move the consent agenda until after executive session. Second.
Okay, then motioned in second. Any more discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign.
And then, I need Caitlin Anderson added to the new business for assistant volleyball. And I need Madison McLaughlin resignation as assistant track on the consent agenda.
I'll make a motion that we make those additions.
Second.
Then motion in second. Any more discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Pass. So now we approve agenda. Yeah, sorry. Is there a motion to approve the amended agenda?
I'll make a motion to remove the amended agenda.
A second.
Motion in second. Any more discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign.
Who seconded the new business of adding Caitlin?
I did.
Okay, thanks, Josh.
New business. We added Caitlin Anderson to that. Is that what we did?
And resignation of Madison as assistant track.
Consent.
That's a new consent.
We someone want to make a motion to approve new business.
I'll make a motion to approve new business. Second.
Motion in second. Any more discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Same sign. Motion passes. Okay. Now 8, approve consent agenda with the change of.
No, that got moved to after.
Yeah.
Oh.
Sorry about that.
Okay. Go to 9. No open forums.
I don't see any.
Okay. Moving right along to Kelly Austin with the liability property insurance proposal.
I set a folder out for each of you, and it's most of the information is the same as you should have received before. The changes are that after we got the Associated School Board's quote, there was some significant increases to the property, which we kind of knew they were underinsured, but we wanted to get an actual adjustment done to make sure. So we increased that property limit, and I guess that was all, and added the new bus to the autos. So the new amount would be $101,990. That includes cyber coverage, which typically you guys pay for as a separate policy. And then it also includes all of my agent fees are included in that as well, which used to be a separate bill for $1,369. So EMC actually insures several schools in South Dakota, Belfouche, Hardin County, Lee, Deadwood, Hill City, Elk Mountain, Platte, and Redfield are just some of them that I pulled off that I know for sure. There's a couple things that'll be different on this policy that are on the Associated School Board policy. The biggest one is that the property wind hail deductible with Associated School Boards is $25,000, and that's for property and auto. But with EMC, it is a $50,000 wind hail deductible per building, but the autos are $3,000. It's just your regular comp and collision like you're used to dealing with on your personal autos. And then the deductible otherwise is 25,000. We could buy that $50,000 wind hail deductible down if you wanted to. I got just a really quick quote, just a guesstimate kind of today, because we didn't have time to get an actual quote back. And if you dropped it down to 10,000, which is even less than your associated school board, it would be roughly 50,000, between 40 and 50,000 to buy that down every year. So there's kind of two folds to that, in that you can either buy it down or bank the money and hope that you don't have to use it. So and that is an option. We can always do that at any time if you chose to go with EMC. The other thing that is built into EMC right now that you wouldn't have to keep would be that there's a margin clause in there. And that is to help make sure that you don't have any issues with your insurance, with your values of your buildings. If something were to happen, if they were a total loss, that you wouldn't have any penalties in there. But once we can get official adjustment and evaluation done on all the buildings, you wouldn't necessarily have to keep that. On the expiring policy, that is also built in, and it's built in at 125% versus 110. So roughly, with the way that this came back from EMC versus Associated School Boards, it's about a $37,000 difference between the two, with EMC coming in less. All other coverages are pretty close to the same. There's a few that are even different and maybe that you don't have already with Associated School Boards. Associated School Board is on a blanket, which this is also for your property. So once we kind of set the values on the building, we have up to the blanket limit. And that's especially important for the business personal property. So anything that's portable, all your stuff that might move from one building to the other. The one building I think that is probably a little bit over evaluated on here is the big white school. They have it at like 380 some thousand. That seems like a lot for that building. So there's some of that's gonna level out if they do an actual adjustment on there. Within the EMC, they also have a cosmetic exclusion clause in there. So if there were hail damage to like the roof of the powerhouse or the roof of, or anywhere on the building at the powerhouse or the bus barn, that if it's just cosmetic, they won't cover it. There would be no loss at that point. It's only if it's compromised, actually leaking or damaged to the point where it would need to be. Is there any questions you guys have?
You know, we had all that damage
Yeah.
out at Big White.
Yeah,
Have they ever?
it's still not repaired, and it would be excluded until repaired if we switched it.
So where are we on that as far as?
Well, I think we kind of, it's my understanding, it was gonna be such a long lead time without us having a teacher there. We're not really sure what we're gonna do. Kind of boarded it up, I think, for the time being, make sure there's no damage in there, that ongoing damage, but we're just gonna wait until we know what's gonna happen long term. Rather than put money into it.
But do we have the money for it? That's what I'm
We've
wondering.
got a portion of it, so,
Okay.
I'm not quite sure how much we've received for it, the percentage wise. But once we were to fix it, we've received the remaining amount for the portion.
So what is I'm just wondering, what is the amount that we haven't received? Or, I mean, like percentage wise?
We received about 50%, and we had about $13,000 last summer for $26,000 for the.
That would be kind of typical of any policy that you get roughly 50%, and then
Yeah,
you can recover the depreciation after it's fixed.
So if it costs more to repair it, can we turn those in and get more for it? Is it just, that's it?
I would have to check on that for sure, because I'm not sure that there was an extension on that. So I think you can, to file a supplement, typically they'd only give you a year,
I see.
but knowing how that works, I would just have to just double check with that and make sure that they would, what the amount of time would be. Typically, it's just a year, but.
What is our current policy do?
Well, here's the fun part. So you have to make a decision because it has to be turned back into the state by the 9th of June if you are going to leave Associated School Boards and go with the EMC policy. And then it would go into effect July 1.
Yeah, because they just gave us our quote Monday,
Yeah.
Friday,
Friday.
And then.
Associated School Boards did?
yeah.
We have to let them know, we had to let them know last
We had to
year.
let them know before December that we were even gonna go to quote. And then you have to let them know, well, typically it's before the 1st of July, or 1st of June, you have to let them know that you're.
Usually it's in May, actually, it's the end of May. And they were taking forever to get their underwriters to come back. And we just got it on Friday.
Yeah.
And then we have to let them know by June 9th if we're in or out. We are still,
We had an early board meeting.
we will still stay with them for work comp.
Yep.
That didn't go up much. But
And EMC does not write the work comp. The other thing is, Associated School Boards did include up to, well, I guess I don't know how you were gonna do that. So they could include up to 10 million on the builder's risk. Since it was under the $10 million mark, they could cover the
and
builder's
if we
risk.
wanted to do more, they're getting a quote for us.
Either getting a quote, but EMC would actually do it as well, and it would just be a different line item on the policy that, and again, we just didn't have time to get the quote together, but EMC can do it, and if they don't do it, we have probably 10 different companies that we can go out to quote it with
For the new building.
for the new portion.
Well, this is the cheaper option, and I think we should go with EMC.
So I'm just gonna go back to Big Lake because if we are not looking at doing anything with that, then maybe we shouldn't even have it on our policy.
I think I would keep it there until you're completely, so what would happen now is if we moved it, anything that was on last year's adjustment, so like any windows or the roof, I'm assuming that's what the big things were. They wouldn't pay for those again, but if it was a complete loss or something, then you would still have some coverage for it to recover out of it. And in the scheme of things, that building is really not driving a lot of premium.
Oh, okay. I just thought when you
I
said
can actually
we should drop the,
I can actually tell
Value
you
of
exactly
it,
what the,
So both, companies, regardless of who we go with, will come and send out an assessor to get the actual assessment of our properties. Associated School Boards hasn't assessed our properties for 7 years. And so what had happened and why it was, there was a dramatic increase, and you probably saw it in my email, but just kind of a abridged explanation, was that they were increasing our property values by 3% every year. Well, COVID and building costs and all that didn't take in consideration of what it actually would be worth. So this year they had us, all schools, basically the business managers kind of assess what, and they showed me a total of like $188 a square foot that this building was currently assessed at. And I'm like, there's no way if we were to lose this building or anything, we could ever rebuild it for 188. And so then they upped it to 350. And with that increase in assessment dramatically within the 2 years, it brought our premium rates up.
double,
I about had heart failure, Candy probably saw me, and I was like, I couldn't believe the increase. Now granted, that was a good thing that they did, we needed to up the assessment, so we would be, yeah, but I mean, if you,
and to be honest, it's not unusual this year on that, in that, we've had stuff go up anywhere from 150 to 200%. I mean, it's nuts between the building costs and increasing that in just the state of everything, the natural disasters across the nation. Premiums are, especially on property, are
And that's what she
Crazy.
explained to us too, but, there also is a risk, I want you guys to know, when we do have it come, both companies have it assessed, like actual people come out and look at our buildings, it could potentially go up more.
they could go up more, or like in the instance of Big White, it may actually go down. The other one, like the Quonset that's down by the powerhouse, I think had like 160 some thousand on that building. I don't know that it would cost you quite that to rebuild that today, but probably pretty close.
So just so you know that, you know, if we, whatever plan that the board decides they want to go with, there is potential it could go up. I mean, there's
Yeah.
unlikely potential to go down, but there's.
More of a potential that it would increase. The EMC still offers a lot of the same coverages that Associated School Board did. There's different things like for risk management, there's loss control, there's training that you have access to that's free for the staff. There's a vendor, I don't remember the name of it.
Because we're part of work comp, we'd still get some of those trainings for free with Associated. School.
Yeah, you would still get some of those, so you kind of double up a little bit. They also have like some chemical stuff that they can help you do as far as like assessing problems or locating problems that might need to be taken care of, or they can assist with the disposal of some of that stuff.
Is there quite a few other school districts that go with this?
There are just, I looked at just our list and there's 7 that I knew of, and there's like another 4 or 5 on there that, and that's just through our hub agencies that are with EMC.
And then, I did send you guys the proposal from Associated School Boards, and that looks like
All the same number.
22, including us with them, 22 school districts.
And that has, I mean, I just looked back, I think I took it out of here tonight before I came, but I looked back to like 6 years ago or so, well, 2018, I guess, so 5 years ago. And there was like 30 some on there at that time. It just kind of keeps depleted, going down every year.
Oh, yeah. So what's everyone thinking?
Go with
I would
EMC.
agree.
Right.
Josh, Coleman? Cheaper, better?
So what I need from you guys, if that's what you choose, is I need a motion to, get out of the Associated, School Boards Protective Trust. And then you would probably need a motion to go with EMC.
Hope Lane, are you? what do you think?
I'd make a motion that we leave Associated School Boards. Can I make it in one, or do I have to make it 2?
I would, if you could do them too, that'd be
Okay, I make a motion that we leave our insurance, or however you want to say it. The Associated
Property and
School-
liability.
Property and liability with Associated School Boards.
No second.
Motion and second, any more discussion?
So our workers' comp will still be through associated.
So next month, I'll bring you guys the proposal, or actually probably next meeting. I think we have motions and stuff that we'll have to do next meeting for the workers' comp. For the adoption and renewal motions and stuff like that, but we'll bring that to you next meeting, probably on the, whenever we decide our last meeting is.
Okay. Any more discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Pose same sign. Motion passes. Now we need a motion to go with the EMC.
I'll make a motion to go with EMC insurance for property and liability.
Second.
Motion second, any more discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Pose same sign. Okay,
I have one more question for you. Do you want me to go ahead and get an official quote on that buy down to at least the 25,000 on the wind hail deductible? It would be an additional policy and I can bring you a proposal for it. It's just, I'll have to give it to Amy and get some information and we can do that.
Yeah,
Okay. I'll just have, might as well get them started on that and then I'll also get with you on that builder's risk and everything else. So,
Okay, thanks.
all right, thank you guys.
Kelly. Thanks, Kelly.
Number 11, approve surplus items for disposal.
I'm sorry I didn't get this sent out to you in your board packets, but it is on your, stack of papers. You'll see, at the top, there's a scale, a VCR, a cassette and record player, and then a whole bunch of records and VHS tapes. And then, we did recently just, update our access points for wireless. And so the 28 Cisco access points are the old ones, so just a little bit of what these are, and they'll probably be disclosed of.
We have a motion for that.
Make a motion to approve surplus items for disposal.
Second.
Motion and second, any more discussion? All in favor, say aye. Opposed, same sign. Motion passes. Committee reports, budget negotiations, insurance. Yes, still insurance.
No.
I think we talked about on budget negotiations. So moving down, building, grounds, and transportation. Any updates there, guys?
Got the new 14 passenger bus.
You drove it?
No,
No,
I
I
don't need to drive it.
I've actually been told that they like it better than the
Hot rod.
and then Jeremy sent the email.
Yeah, today or?
It was a couple weeks ago.
Yes, yeah.
Next board meeting.
I mean, yeah, I guess there's not been a ton of developments on the building, I guess, for now.
Yeah.
So, yeah, we could probably leave it at that.
Okay. Curriculum, instruction, technology. Guessing maybe not too much there.
We have to go over the readings tonight.
Okay. Legislation, policy, strategic planning. Probably not much there.
No, we haven't had any meetings.
Yep.
We just got through it.
Okay. Same with career developments. I guess we got some scholarships on it. Right, finished up there. Okay, moving on. Approval of district policy proposals.
Okay, now this is the final reading for first through. And I will, clean these all up and put them in PDF form and send them out to you. Make sure I have what is approved tonight is correct. The tobacco and vape-free school policy, that was brand new. There hasn't been any recommended changes the first two readings, so. If you want to adopt it, we need that.
Does this line up now with the handbook stuff that you sent out to, that was updated, or that we're gonna do the first readings of tonight?
This is descriptive of what's in the handbook, and this applies to K-12. Nope, I screwed up on that. And so is there anything on this, any other questions or? Okay, then the next one is. There we go. Okay, the next one is for staff gifts and solicitations. My recommendation was added for nonprofit, no for nonprofit. Mhm. The attendance, this, changed, okay, JE. Was changed, updated the age to 18, it was 16. Okay. The other one is, student conduct. Highlighted with yellow was the additions from, Associated School Boards, attorneys. So it's just more depth, what's going on. Some of this was already in there. Okay. Registered sex offender policy. That's a brand new policy. Given it a sex offender, registered sex offender. Uh-oh. Back here, sorry. Okay, now, so registered sex offender, the next one is student searches. That was, the change was whenever possible, the student and or guardian will be notified, and given the opportunity to be present during the search, emergency situations may necessitate a search with or without the student or guardian's knowledge or consent, such searches will always involve two school personnel involved. That's all of them for their final reading. And they're up for,
We gotta make separate motions.
you can approve them all together.
I'll make a motion that we approve, should we name them? Oh, read the number.
I have them just listed by their,
Yeah, I make a motion, we approve, district policy proposal AEA, GBI, JEA, JFC, JFCL, and JFG.
Second.
Any more discussion? All in favor, say aye. Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. On approval. So. Second reading of district policy.
Okay. JFGA. Now, these are second readings, so the approval will not be until next month. You will see in the lighter red are portions to be taken out. The yellow was an addition put in. And conversations on it.
Everyone okay with what we did?
Okay. We'll go on to reporting child abuse. recommendation is to take the 10 line items out that identify abused, neglected child. And these are additions in the yellow. This is what our current policy says. You'll find most of that is in here. It's those line items that are added in. They are also, they reflect what is written in codified law. I do have, Mr. Sephora's concern about taking these out, if you're interested in reading it or if you thought maybe more. I do support his concern.
Yeah, I guess I don't know why we could take this out. Something to fall back on if the law is the law.
You know, I thought it was simpler, to just call it abuse. I think that's what the committee felt. But probably time to have some discussion on it. I'm not the one that within the school has to deal with it, and so I do take others' concerns seriously. I don't know, I can go either way on this one, I guess. I don't see the point in it, and we tried to do our best to shorten this stuff up and make it as easy to read as possible and understand, but if the people in the school would rather have it the other way, I guess I can work with it either way.
I feel like your policy should be clean and clear cut, and I don't think listing these is necessary. And obviously Chuck and I both stated our points at the last meeting. Your handbook is a shortened version. Your policy should also be able to be something that you pull up, you look at. But realistically, if you're talking about child abuse, I don't think there's a person in the school who's gonna go to your policy book and look this up and be like, oh, yep, check number 3. So that was the whole reason of it. You have adults in this school who work with children every day, and I don't want them to look at a list and be like, well, it's not really on the list. If you feel that there's abuse, it's abuse, and it should be reported. It shouldn't be a check-off list, 1 through 10.
I can see it both ways a little bit too. I think there's a little bit of concern also coming back with if something is reported that maybe doesn't necessarily black and white check one of these 10 things off of the list, but where there's a concern there. I mean, I can see that going both ways too. Whenever you list the things, the requirements that it has to meet, are you inviting somebody maybe not reporting something who should be because it doesn't necessarily check one of the boxes? And if the answer to that is no, they're gonna report it, well, then why do you need to have those 10 things listed anyway? I mean, I can see it both ways. And I know the administration, I know the people in the school 100% wanna look out for the kids and what's best for them.
The way I look at it, it's almost like if I was just to read it, it looks like it could put you in more of a box, because you say, oh, what was the abuse? Show me on your list of 10 things. Well, I thought it was abuse, well, it's not here, so you broke policy. I agree with Elaine. I think policy should be short to the point. I don't think this is for the better, but if it's something that our people in the school feel real strongly about and helps them, I guess I'm fine with it. I don't need to fight this one myself.
Got any help or input, Sally, on this?
Do I get to say anything? I have a question for you. When you report, if I reported, from my understanding, then somebody else comes in and does more investigation, correct? So there's that layer too, I guess. If that helps you make a decision.
Yeah, that's a good point.
I think if you turn this into social services or law enforcement, they're not gonna go to your handbook and be like, well, is it in your handbook as abuse?
Oh,
They're going to go to the law, and that was kind of my point to Chuck is, if you wanna go look at the law is available. It's easy to look up, it's there. We included, I believe we added the law in there. And to me, I think, again, I go back to, do you want your policy book to be a law book, or do you want it to be a policy book that is usable?
What do you guys think?
We've got time for another reading if we want to look at some more. Everybody look at it.
Yeah, I mean, that's a pretty subjective measurement, child abuse. I could probably accuse a child abuse myself. Or, I mean, spanking your kid or something. I do think if you push comes to shove, or when you get the law is probably gonna get involved with it. It's gonna have to fit that. I mean, if you accuse a parent of child abuse and it doesn't fit in there, you're potential for a lawsuit, I think.
And that's why this, in my mind, makes it harder, but because we did list everything here, but you guys don't, I don't.
I don't know, I could go either way with that also, because, like I said, I can see both sides, and I can see why having that to fall back on in the school side would be good too, but I don't.
So we just push it down the road for another month.
okay. We have student organizations, second reading. In there, we have taken out, principal or any, the decision is to be taken on any student organizations directly to the school board, and, there is no,
Appeal process.
there's no appeal process.
All done with those?
Yeah.
Okay. First reading of 6 through 12. student.
Sent that out to you earlier this week.
Big changes.
There's a few, and then, the health services, we are, district nurse requested a change. There's some changes as far as, let's see, classes, updates from Kelly. Where all my colors go. Okay. Here we go. The personal finance is 1 unit, and then we have half units of these other classes. I'm not gonna color. There it is. Okay. Let me see what I got it somewhere. Okay. Okay, I think I got the right one now, sorry about that. Okay, so we have, it is now the South Dakota ELA and math assessment instead of Smarter Balance. And this is changed because the music class only meets 2 times a week, so that's a quarter credit and not a half credit. So that has been taken out. Just updates on the classes we offer. This is a change that came through the legislation as far as fuel credit and how they're counted. Here's where our change in social studies, because now we offer half credit geography and half credit world history. Takes band and choir out of this one, updates the status so it matches the high school. And then on the bottom is the health. They do screening with kindergarten. And then the big change that was requested, instead of signing, that they just call if they want to opt out of these services, because it was confusing people as far as they were signing it and it was saying, I don't want any services, but they wanted the services in order for kids to get screened. So,
When you get all this stuff as a parent, when we saw it come back in the office, parents just get to where they sign every paper that's put in front of them. And so they would actually sign everywhere on this.
yeah, so here they would contact Heidi Burns. Any questions?
I wonder if they shouldn't contact the school instead of Heidi, because it's being done at the school.
It was her request.
Right, I just think,
She's our county health nurse.
right,
Helps the kids and
but I mean, what I'm saying is if someone doesn't want to participate in these services, I think it should be the school that they call, because it's going through the school. It's our district, so that's where it should be the school's responsibility to make note, not the county health nurse.
Works for us.
Right, which is why it should be through the school.
What if she just sent a list? And updated, you know?
I'm just thinking parent-wise, you know, it would be simpler for a parent to call the school and say, yeah, I don't want my kid to do this.
Well, the way it says now, you can do either one, right? Yeah, school or.
It just says 90.
Yeah, I think it's just Heidi.
If you want to, client screening
It's
services,
contact school or community health.
most of them are probably gonna call the school,
Right,
but I guess.
that's my thought anyways. I think it should be on the school too. Have record of that this parent called and spoke with the school and said they didn't want it.
I don't think having the option is.
I guess if Heidi has it, or if they call Heidi, then it should be provided to the school and it should be in their file.
Want to leave it as is or change?
I say leave it, and then if, anybody does call Heidi, she can just double check and make sure the school has a copy of it. Because they're gonna have to sign the form anyway, right, if they're opting out? Or if they're
she'll take
declining
care
the
of
service,
that. Or, you know,
so we won't have copies of them. even if they call the school, because it says they can call the school or the community health.
But they would contact, they would be, the form would be provided to the Heidi. This is already set up on a PDF that gets sent out to everybody. in their email list.
I'm just saying, it's that, because it says, please contact the school or the community health nurse, so if they call the school and they're like, hey, I don't want my kid to be tested, and we're like, all right, the office says, okay, well, you need to sign a form. They're gonna give them Heidi's number and have Heidi, they have to call Heidi to get the form.
Heidi sets all this up. I guess I'll have to go find out. but-
Or at least say, I mean, put something in there to where it says, if you want to opt your child out, please fill out, please call and ask the school to send a form home and or have it emailed, whatever. I mean, I still think that this is, you're going through your school. It's being done through the school. It should be the school's responsibility.
Do we read on this one again?
Yeah, it's pretty,
Yeah, so.
Could we find out from Heidi and maybe,
yeah, I'll need to call Heidi.
okay,
Okay. She will let us know.
I mean, I'm fine with the way it's written.
Or maybe, you know, we have pretty much everybody's email. Email it out to everybody and say, if you want to opt your kid out, turn this form in.
It would be nice to give them a notice, or I think.
Right, yeah, I don't think
Before,
that,
because I mean, otherwise if you have to opt out, I don't know. I think,
The problem with the form is people were signing it that
Signing it.
wanted their kids to have service.
right, and now you're gonna have people,
We have, Heidi has a PDF all set up. I just took this information off that PDF flyer that will be sent out.
okay,
I think that the people, the families who don't want their kiddos screened, like, I think they probably already know that. So when they read this, that they'll,
but if there's no
They'll reach
notice,
out.
that's why I'm saying, just send an email out saying, here's the form if you don't want your kid. That way it's not included in their packets that they bring home for handbooks or.
and Heidi could send that out too.
Yeah, and
Right.
Chuck and Heidi have
Chuck
it all set up to be sent out.
Yep, right. So, but do you see what I'm saying? Notify the parents and say, if you don't want your kid
yeah,
participating, here's an email, fill it out.
I
turn
think
it
that's
in.
only,
Yeah,
Okay. Good down to 6 through 12. First read. Moving on. Approve updates on ESSER LEA plan.
This is the plan that I emailed out to you. It includes an update on the 14 passenger bus in the Suburban, and also we originally had it set up to pay for a half a person. Instead, we're gonna take on that whole weight for that person, the intervention person, that also works with, diversity of students. So, it's just change and update how we're using the funds. Yeah, and we have to approve this, every 6 months. Show it on the website for our federal reserve fund.
so we need to approve that tonight.
Yep, needs approved, so I can put a new date on it, put it up on the website.
I'll make a motion to approve updates on ESSER LEA plan.
No second.
Motion and second, any more discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Right?
Opposed, same sign.
Okay, and then the next one is, the South Dakota LEA Comprehensive Plan. This is, through our special education department. It gets approved every year. There is no changes from last year's approval. And it explains how we're gonna provide services, what are our, laws and expectations and so forth. Yeah, evaluation processes and so forth. I emailed it out to you, or did I?
No, I don't.
This
I
one
don't
comes
think this
from,
one- the other one did.
Mrs. Edgar, so I just have the copy if you wanna look at it.
We did this
It's not
last year though too.
It's an annual,
thing.
it's an annual approval.
I make a motion, we approve it.
Second.
Motion and second, any more discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Okay. Is Chuck still with us?
Oh, Chuck's on vacation.
Chuck's out.
Chuck's out.
Okay, we'll move on then. 6 through 12. So,
He's out.
pretty short.
Yep, yep.
Now, Amy, you gotta fill in the gaps here. Business manager report.
I do not have a report.
What? You're moving along, record pace here. Okay. Now it's Dr. Superintendent.
Well, I got stuff.
Makeup.
Okay. We got that 14 passenger bus in this plan that we just approved. We put it in there for $110,000. We bought it for $65,000. So, Chris has been looking at these GPS units that people, schools have been, well, businesses too, have been putting into their HVAC systems, and it collects all the bacteria and stuff. And, Chris has done research with schools on whether it's proved itself as far as lowering illnesses and improving attendance in schools. And I know when I left Weston Springs, we put all these in to a newly renovated building, and I called that principal, and he's noticed a change of improved student attendance with these units. So we're recommending looking into putting these in our HVAC. It'll cost $43,940.
What was the difference of our ESSER fund? The 14 passenger bus.
110,000 allocated and 65 spent, so.
Sorry,
Yeah.
I know she said I just didn't.
45,000 from doing that.
Yeah, and we,
We still have, I think it's 15,000 that's unbudgeted, so just as a, kind of a.
Yeah.
Help us with, if there's anything that we go over.
I guess if Chris wants to go to bid and present us with some pricing,
I'll check on the bidding part.
well, it doesn't need to go to bid. but-
No, it doesn't need to go to bid, but I don't know how many other companies there are
Yeah.
available.
Right, no, yeah, just I think we should, he's saying.
If there's, get another quote.
Well, not even necessarily, just, are we pretty for sure that, I mean, we're not roughly guessing 43,000?
This is
No,
the
it's a
updated
That's
quote
his
that we
quote,
got.
okay, he's got the quote.
So consent if we want to go that direction, or do you want me to wait till next meeting? Or
At least,
I'm good.
something that costs money to upkeep every year, do we know?
no, actually, we put them in Weston Springs 3 years ago. And, no, they're just in there. They ionize all the air that comes through and collects
Bacteria,
junk.
So this,
Ionizes it.
sorry. So this 43,940 is with them completely installing it.
Yes, that's what we got.
And when do we have to have our ESSER funds?
Into 2024.
Okay.
And when we put these in at Weston Springs, it's like, is this really, are we just throwing money in the air? But when I called Mr. Klosik and asked him, he had noticed a change in attendance as far as the amount of illness in the building. And Chris brought back same information, there's businesses in schools, there's.
Everyone think.
If there's anything else we need money or need more than we do that, I don't know. We have to spend the money, yeah.
I can make it an item, our next board meeting too.
Why don't we do that and think on it for a month and make a decision then?
But-
maybe something else will come up between now and then. Maybe not, and we'll go with that.
I can send you the quote too.
His proposal is only valid for 30 days is the only thing, and I don't know, maybe it's not gonna, yeah, maybe it's not gonna change either, but just,
I don't know.
if he's gonna go get bids or, I mean, that's,
Well, he doesn't need to get a bid for this though. It's under 50,000.
yeah. But I was just saying if he was gonna go get bids.
I don't know,
Yeah,
I'm
I
probably for it,
agree.
but maybe we'll wait a month and talk about it then.
We have another meeting in June though.
Yeah,
Can we
Yeah.
do it then?
end of year.
I can put it on the,
Because that would be within the 30 days.
Yep, that's
okay,
a good idea. Gotta meet like end of this
okay, so I'll let you guys think on that one. In the school calendar, evidently, it was after I left, Mr. Garnos was the superintendent. The FFA had their entire FFA leadership contest here, and they called off a whole day of school for it. And I negotiated down to a half a day of school, and they would like to start their competition and use our school building starting at 1 o'clock. And they would use all the classrooms for all the contests and so forth. And so I'm bringing it to you to see if you wanted to look at that, consider it.
Is that like in the middle of the school week or?
It's November 15th, it's a Wednesday.
Students would be here till through lunch,
Yeah,
so it would still count as a,
a day.
A day?
Yeah. We're all fine with it, or,
Yeah, it's on a Wednesday.
and
Yeah,
I,
that's what I was thinking.
I
Jacks up
know,
The church school program. Time gap there from when they start, unless they would start earlier, they'd have that option again.
you know, I didn't think about that, but that would be nice if it would.
Otherwise, you gotta find something for your kids.
And then,
thing
I would
like
hopefully try to have some sort of in-service here for the staff in this library.
That'd be my only concern, I guess.
I'll write that down. and see
That
what-
lag time.
But otherwise, you're fine with,
Yeah, I'm fine with it.
okay? Board committees, will be putting together the reorganization, agenda for July. Want to stay what we did this year, or you want to go back to what we had in the past?
I think this worked out all right.
I do too.
I needed it. I'm just kidding, it's fine.
Okay? Fine.
I'm good with this, sorry.
Carolyn and I are going to Colorado Springs to the FLISA meeting on June 23rd. We'll be taking off on the 22nd, coming back on the 24th. The Associated School Boards, School Administrators Joint Convention is August 3rd and 4th. Mr. Segura is going, and Sally, you're going, or, well,
I don't know.
anyone else like to go? I usually need to register about the middle of July to get the cheaper rate, so if you want to go, please let me know.
Can I talk to you later about that?
Absolutely. And then, I'm proposing the end of the year, meeting be June 28th at 5:30. So Wednesday night, Wednesday afternoon.
June 28th at 5:30.
Unless you guys wanna go with that, or I just thrown it out there, you can pick whatever you want.
I'll be out of town that day, that's fine. Don't change it for me, is what I'm saying.
I didn't pull that out of the air,
I
so.
think we're gonna talk about it last time.
I almost think I'm on.
Put it on the calendar, we'll get it right now.
Last year, I think there was a bare minimum here, 4 of them.
Yeah,
We
I
might
think
have
it was
some-
in the afternoon, during the day, wasn't it, or something, I was at the end of it, sorry.
No, we did it. We did it.
It is in the meeting, it's just
Yeah, we didn't, there wasn't.
a busy time of year to get everybody in.
We do have some things that we potentially will be voting on, right?
Well, the bills, yeah, the bills are a big thing,
The HVAC thing.
and the HVAC bill.
That's your year-end bill, right, Amy? You just what comes in from today till then.
Yes, no?
Oh my God.
So what you mean?
So
I think I could make,
So we,
I get, my.
yeah. We can do that, so. And that's all I have.
Okay.
Yeah. I can do that. I make a motion, we enter executive session for the purpose of discussing personnel. According to South Dakota Codified Law 1-25-2, parentheses 1.
Second.
Oh, second, sorry.
Oh, where's my mouse?
Okay.
I was still writing, sorry.
We got it.
Good job.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say so.